Hello. My name is Bryce Tubbs. Today we're going to be talking and doing a deep dive about how Diana's. Wow, I'm like really like flustered. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into how Diana was able to reach $5,700 per month in her business. Now, this thing is really kind of near and dear to my heart because when she was first getting started, she did not have a huge amount of money to get started, right? Because she was she had just started a new job, and it wasn't quite the job she wanted. It was like a part-time job, and she was trying to save up some money, and she was like, I just can't quite afford to do the full payment for the program. So we introduced her to some of our funding partners. They were able to kind of get a really good deal and a pretty wide payment plan, and they're able to get her funded and get in there. And she took it. Like most people, like if they don't have the money, or if they think about getting like a funding option, then they kind of get fearful or they turn away. But she was one of those people where it's like, it doesn't matter the cost. Let's go do this. I want to go get my goal. I'm going to go and reach it. And she did, right? So let's just kind of dive into it today. So the first thing that I always do whenever we do like a training like this is talk about the mindsets around money, because everyone thinks that you're just going to go and magically market to like these companies. They're going to come to you. You're going to say your price point, and they're automatically going to pay you money, right? And it's really easy to kind of think that way because when you're first getting started, most people think that you don't know where the right clients are, and that is to a certain degree. But I can tell you from firsthand experience and from coaching over 150 students out of our private mentorship program that it's very easy to blow opportunities with bigger companies. Just because a company with 40 plus employees comes and sits right in front of you does not mean you're going to pull away with any kind of money, if a contract at all. So let's kind of dive into this thing and really deep dive into this. Now, before we go any further, if you want some help doing this, you want some help growing your business, you've been trying to figure out on your own, but just not quite working, I just invite you to go ahead and click on the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to see if I can help you. Wherever you're watching, it's going to be below there. Now, if you're watching this thing live, go ahead and write down hashtag Team Live, so I know to make it more interactive. I can answer some of your questions, and I can make it really easy for you guys to get some good value out of this. If you're watching the replay, write hashtag Team Replay. Just let me know that so I can leave you a gift as well for watching the video. Then if you ever have any questions or you want me to connect with you, write hashtag Connect, and I'll go answer your questions you might have inside of either the messenger or the comment section, because I just want to be here for you. Henry Web Solutions says hashtag Team Live. Hello, Henry. Great to see you. Great to see you. Yeah, guys, if you guys need a website, he has a really cool offer where he doesn't charge anything up front. He charges more of a maintenance fee, so he can constantly make adjustments and constantly make updates for your website. Go ahead and drop. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let me know inside of the comments if you want me to do a video with someone who does web designs, or maybe if you're needing a website, but maybe money's a little bit tight in the beginning. Go ahead and write that down in the comment. I'll see if I can work something out with them to give you guys some information on that. But just kind of diving back into what we're talking about. Okay, number one. Okay, do not settle for clients that pay you less than what you are worth. Okay, now when I say less than what you're worth, like a lot of people, they don't really know exactly how much you should or how much you could be charging for these services. So I got on the phone yesterday. Someone was interested in the mentorship program, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got like 5 clients, and they paid me like $300 a month." And I was like, "Ooh, I want that to be like," because he signed up to join the program, but I want it to be the last time he ever brags about having a $300 per month client, right? It's very hard for you to be able to build a sustainable business off of $300 per month. It can be done, but you generally need a tremendously large amount of clients in order for you to make a sustainable amount of money. And if you're working a full-time job while you have 20, 30, 40 clients, it is very hard for you to be able to, number one, service your existing clients if you have 40 clients, and then number two, do a good job on your job. And most people, when they're at that 30, 40 client level, if they've underpriced it, it makes it very hard for them to have a significant amount of income to walk away from their full-time job. So the trick is you have to consider the end before you get started. So you need to be doing, at least in my case, when I was trying to leave my job permanently, my goal was to have a minimum of $500 per month, right? Because then if I wanted to make a six-figure income, I only needed about a little bit about 17 clients on average, right? 17 is pretty manageable. That's less than 20 to 30 hours per month for those clients, right? So that means you can work that full-time job, you can still have a life outside of it, and you can make a meaningful income. So that once you get to that, 17 clients or less mark, you can leave your job and still make a really good amount of money, right? And today, we always focus on between $500 to $5,000 per month. Now, always remember this question and always remember this statement. The goal of business is not to get more clients. The goal of business is to make more money so you can have more choices and more options, more choices to choose to work with the clients you want, more choices to choose to be able to spend time with your family, choices to live wherever you want, choices to control your time, but it only comes with you being able to really charge the amount of money that you need in order to do so. So always be thinking about this. Henry said, so true. I love that perspective. Yeah, because like it was ridiculous. I one time had a client come to me and she had been starting her business. She started a business back in 2008, and she had 31 clients. And I was like, oh, you have 31 clients already, dude. You got to be making at least $10,000-$15,000 a month. And she goes, what? I can make that much? Guess how much inside the comment she was making? I'll tell you guys the answer. If you're watching this replay, guess how much she was making? She was only making about $3,500 per month, and that was on a good month. Because she'd have some clients for like $50 a month, she'd have some for like $200 a month, she'd have some for like $150, she'd have some that paid her $150 per quarter, and it was a mess, right? So we started working together, and by the time that we got finished, it was about 2 months into the program. She was at about $9,600 per month, but she did that with about 36 clients. So at 31 clients, she was at about $3,500 per month. At 36 clients, she was at $9,600 per month. And it's because we focused on charging more money from the start. Okay. You got to really understand that. So next thing, so how to start getting in front of the clients that make more money. Henry said I was going to guess at least 8K, but yeah, that's ridiculous. I know, but that's kind of the point. Like if you don't have your pricing down, you don't have your mentality right from the start that you need to be charging the correct amount of money in order to make this thing work. It's really hard for you to have a very sustainable business. And then you start looking at other people and you're like, man, there's no way I could ever make, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 per month, because that would take 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week worth of work for me to maintain that amount of money. But when you price it right, you can hit those higher income levels without killing yourself in terms of the number of hours that you're working, and still have a life and still have free time. At least that's what's been in my experience and for the students I've worked with. Now, Alexandra, can you show me where? Alexandra said, "Can you show me where I can find a client?" Yeah, Alex. Why don't you book a call? So like, we're actually going to go into marketing next, but if you want, why don't you book a call? I think we had talked about that for a while, but I think something happened. I think there was an illness that went around, and then we weren't able to connect. But yeah, send me a message. Let's connect and let's talk about that. But just kind of diving into it, okay? So when you're doing marketing, it all starts from who are the people you're actually reaching out to, okay? A lot of people, they'll go after like industries that are known for having solopreneurs or people who are really, really small, okay? When that happens, you're dealing with a couple different factors. Number one, you're generally dealing with lower budgets. When I say like a solopreneur, I mean like someone who's like a single member photographer, someone who is like a barber, someone who's like a hairstylist, or like a trucker, right? I'm not talking about the ones who own the logistics company. I'm talking about the individual person driving the truck, right? That can be an okay industry if you get a lot of them, and it can be an okay niche. But if you're trying to get someone that can pay, $5, $6, $7,000 a month, on average, most truckers or most hairstylists or most barbers are generally not going to be able to pay the amount of money that you want. And generally, what I see happening is people will go after those kind of clients and they'll choose that as their main niche. When they try and charge $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, they get punched in the face. And the person either laughs at them, the person's like, that's way too expensive. The person's like, what are you going to do for that much money? And then the accountant or bookkeeper gets very, very frustrated and very confused. They're like, in corporate America, we get paid a lot of money. When you go to these mom and pop shops, they generally aren't really looking to pay the amount of money that you need. And that's because it's just their mentality. Number one, they might be too small. Number two, they might not really have a need for your services that is conducive to you charging that much money. So you always have to be thinking before you start your marketing, who are you actually going to be targeting? Some good industries to be targeting are industries that already have contractors in place, generally have high levels of revenue, can easily, if they're a little bit lower revenue at the start, they can easily get like a cash infusion, like a grant, a loan, a round of funding. And then number four, generally it's going to be an industry where the business owner is a little bit looser on cash. And then number five, generally an industry where the owner is very, very flustered because there's so many different departments or so many different things or products that they're managing. And then when you come inside, you're offering a lot of value by simplifying, the financial aspect of their business, making sure everything is like in order, everything's taken care of. They're dotting their I's, they're crossing their T's. Those are always the industries that we're looking for, like construction, nonprofit's a good one. E-commerce is a good one. Depending on the size of e-commerce can kind of be like the barbers or the salon stylists, like we just talked about. But in some cases, you can have a really, really nice sized e-commerce company that have just a huge commotion of like mess and disorganization that when you come in there, you provide so much value and they're sticking with you for like years to come. So those are some industries. Okay, so let's say that we're building our lead list. I like using tools like D7, LinkedIn, and one tool called like Apollo to go and search the internet to go and identify who are the targets that kind of fit my criteria. So that just means like generally the location I'm looking for, the size of client that I'm looking for, the revenue they're doing per either per year. In some cases, you can find revenue per month. It can see if they already have somebody in place who matches the skill set that you're looking for. But once you're able to identify those people, now you have a really good size list. Once you have a good size list, there's two main ways you can go and contact them. My personal favorite right now, and this is right, if you would have asked me this like, a year ago, I probably would have said something differently. But right now, the two most favorite ones I like are email marketing and LinkedIn. Okay. So I like using email marketing because it's very, very fast and direct. Okay. You're punching people in the face, really getting an understanding of their problems, their concerns, their pain points, and the level of need or the level of urgency right now, right? In some cases, like if you do it wrong, then like it's like a yes or a no, and it's very, very hard. But if you do it correctly, you actually get a really good insight into like the life of the person you're speaking to. And if it's not the right time for them, if you do it correctly and you approach them correctly, they can actually give you referrals. So it's like you're killing a bunch of birds with one stone just because you're approaching people correctly. Now, one cool thing is like there's a lot of massive B2B organizations. B2B just means like business to business. And that means that like Salesforce, they offer like payment processing services and CRM services for massive companies. They built their entire $1 billion company just from using cold email. So when you really master how to use cold email, it's so, so, so powerful. For example, one of my students named JT, he sent out 125 emails and he got $750, a $750 per month client. And that only took him about 2 weeks to go and do that, right? And then from that original 125, a good portion of them actually came back and wanted his help in the future. But it was just so quick and it was just directly to the point. And it just makes it very easy. So there's two options when you have email. Number one is just writing a really, really direct email that can go and touch on their pains, problems, concerns, and ask questions. Then you can have a link at the bottom which says, hey, book a call with me if you're interested in learning more. And the second thing that you can do as well is have a link to your favorite either website or social media profile. For me personally, I like having LinkedIn because LinkedIn can actually substitute for a website. So let's say you're just getting started, you don't have a website. LinkedIn is one of the easiest ways for you to be able to provide understanding of like who you actually are, what you've done in the past, what is your experience, what services do you offer, how can your service specifically help that person, and why should that person take action now? So if they see the email, they may be interested in you, but it's like, I don't really know this person, let me go do some research. They click on the link inside their email that goes to your LinkedIn account. Now what happens, they start doing research on you on LinkedIn, and then you start getting friend requests from people. It's like, oh, you don't even have to do that much work. It's like the friend requests come in. Then when the friend requests come in, you can ask them, hey, I saw you checked out my LinkedIn profile. Like, was there something, that really caught your attention, or did you also receive my email? In a lot of cases, those people who send you those friend requests are actually interested in your service, and they'll ask you, hey, when can we hop on a call? Now, whenever someone asks you to hop on a call, I always like to slow them down, okay? Because just because a business owner has the budget to pay you, if they don't have the right mentality or mindset, then sometimes it can be really hard to stretch them to pay above, the $500 per month range, right? Sometimes they might have gotten a quote from somebody else for like $200, or they might have gotten a quote for like $300, but that's because a lot of people don't really know what they're charging. So when they get on the phone with you and you actually do know what you're supposed to charge because you have like tools, which I give all our mentorship students like tools about pricing so they know exactly how to charge. So we're generally higher than most people's other quotes. So when they come on the phone and they're like, you're saying, the price should be 1,500, but they got a quote for like 450 from somebody else. If you don't really know how to, use your sales skills, or they don't come in the right mentality, it's really hard to get them to pay that extra, the extra $950 that you're trying to charge. So instead, when someone says, hey, I'm interested in your service, you should slow them down, ask them questions about, number one, like, what are you guys already doing? Number two, do you already have somebody in place, or have you ever had somebody in place in the past? If they do say they've had someone in place in the past, you could actually ask them, how much was that person charging you? Now, this one can be a more tricky question to ask, like, how much were they charging you? Because in some cases they won't tell you because they're, keeping their cards close to their chest. But in some cases, if they've actually if they're resonating with you and they're actually serious, they'll tell you exactly how much their old bookkeeper charged. For example, like Charlotte asked that question to this one real estate investor, and the person's like, well, I'm charging, my current bookkeeper charged me about $2,400 per month. So I'm looking to replace that person right now. And that gives you a baseline because okay, they're comfortable paying $2,400 per month. So you actually have a range, and you can see, okay, this person has demonstrated in the past that they don't mind paying for this service. They don't mind paying within this, acceptable or appropriate range. From there, then you can invite them to the phone call. Now, I like to do a 2-call close. What that basically means is 15-minute call where you're just meeting and greeting, and you're actually getting information so you can plug into a pricing calculator, or so you can, like, give yourself some space to be able to go back, consider the numbers, and then come up with a price quote. Then you do a 45-minute call, and on that 45-minute call, basically what it is you're setting up a game plan with them to be like, okay, so this is what we're going to do first, this is what we're going to do second, this is what we're going to do third, this is what we're going to do fourth, fifth, sixth, XYZ. And at the end of the call, if they've made it to the call and they haven't like bowed out, or they didn't think the plan was not going to work for them, now they're like, hey, how much is it to implement this plan? And then you can actually draw it out, and you can write out the numbers, you can negotiate, you can really talk from there. And from there, it's very, very simple to be able to do that. But it all started with first email, then they came to your LinkedIn, you had a brief conversation, then you slowed them down, you evaluated whether or not you thought they were good, and then you invite them to the call. Another reason why slowing them down when they're interested in your service and then evaluating them is it actually creates this frame that you're, one, very exclusive, and number two, you're very serious about only working with people who you really think is a good fit, right? Because that fits into that 45-minute game plan call. Because the reason why we're doing it like that is because we don't want to work with people we don't want to work with. We want to make sure the clients we take on are extremely quality and really fit the ideal standard for our future lifestyle. If you get a client where it's like they're just like nitpicking you, they're constantly calling you, they're sending you text messages at 3 a.m. in the morning, you don't respond one time because you're sick, because your child gets sick and you have to go into the office to pick them up, and the person's like cussing you out because you didn't respond to them, like that's not a client you really want. So by slowing them down, you get to see like who is the person, who are you dealing with, are they going to be a good fit moving forward, are they going to support your lifestyle, are they going to be the client where when you tell them, hey, I'm taking a 1-week vacation, or I'm taking a 2-week vacation, I'm going to be a little bit behind. I'm going to do as much as I can to get ahead of the work, but there might be some delays in communication. Just to let you know that. Are they going to be the person that's like, okay, cool, have a great vacation? Or are they going to be the person that's like, you can't go on vacation, I own you, right? You got to know that ahead of time before you do it, because again, it's not just about collecting a lot of money, right? Because it's cool to make $20,000, $30,000 a month, but if you have no freedom, you have no control over your life, you have nothing else, there's not really that much point in running a business. Okay, so you got to make sure that, just like we talked about in the beginning, you know the end from the start, you have an idea of who you actually want to work with, and you're sticking to that goal along the way. Okay, the more integrity you have with that, the more integrity you have with staying true to yourself and staying true to your value, the easier it is going to be for you to reach your lifestyle goals that you might have. Now, hopefully you get some understanding out of this. If you have any other questions, go ahead and either put them inside of the comment section. I'll stick around for about 2 more minutes. I do have an appointment, hard stop at about 3:57 to go prepare for another call. So if there are any questions, go ahead and put them inside the comments. Now, if you're watching this thing on the replay and I wasn't able to answer any questions because you weren't watching this thing live, go ahead and write down #connect, and I'll reach out to you and I'll answer those questions when I get some time available. And also, if you have some challenges growing your business, like maybe you've been trying to do this. I spoke to a gentleman about a week ago, and the person had been trying for a really, really long time, and he was really serious, but it just wasn't really clicking for him. So he joined the mentorship program, and it's just like, dude, All you got to do is A, B, C, D. I know you've been trying this thing, but here's why this thing isn't working. And man, this is cool branding and all, but the words on the website just really does not really resonate with the people who are seeing it. Someone said, how much time do you spend on looking for clients as opposed to doing all the other things you have to do to run your business? Great question. So it depends. Generally, for me, when I'm first working with a student, it takes a little bit longer. But as we kind of go with them, it can take about 15 to about 45 minutes per day. Now, is that optimal? No. Is it enough to get you to your goal? Yes. If you could spend more time on it because, like, maybe you don't have a job right now and this is all you're doing, or this is what you've been doing full time, could you do it more, like 2 hours a day? You definitely could, which only takes about 15 to 45 minutes every single day for you to go. And that's once you have the automation down, it does get a little bit less because then when you have the automations going, it's more about logging into your phone, checking it out, be like, okay, cool. Did this person respond on time block 1? Then maybe come back around lunchtime. Did this person respond? Okay, cool. They did or they didn't. If they did respond, they responded favorably. You move them down to the next stage inside of your messaging script. If they didn't, you kind of ignore them. Then you do a third check right before you're getting ready to leave, your office for the day. If you work from home, that just means the room office, and you just go back to your day. So hopefully that answers your question. And the reason why we want to do it about maximum 45 minutes per day is because, generally when you're doing good marketing, you're going to fill up your business very quickly. So you don't want to be spending or working on a process that takes 5-10 hours every single day of your time because it's just not going to scale. And as soon as you start getting clients, then you're going to end up really not being able to market more because you just don't have enough time. And that's why, like, whenever I see people who are like, posting a lot on social media, it's just like it's cool, but when you're running like an accounting firm, you're trying to get accounting clients, it's just unnecessary until you're at least at $10,000 to $15,000 per month. You can get this and just get up to those goals without posting content, specifically with using email marketing and with using LinkedIn alone. Okay, because those two things are going to be enough. It's going to be enough like social proof and enough value for the business owner to identify who you are versus what most people try and do content wise. They post content to try and get a client to work with them. Really, what content is more designed is if someone's interested or on the fence, content nudges them along a little bit more until they're ready to make the decision with you. But if you don't have a good profile, you don't have a good value proposition, you don't have a good elevator pitch, they're not even going to look at your content because they're not really interested in working with you. And that's the reason why a lot of people like struggle when it comes to posting on social media so much. But yeah. Any other questions before we depart? I have about 1 more minute left. 1 more minute left. And also, again, if you're watching this on replay and you don't get a chance to ask the question, go and type it wherever you are. If you're watching this thing on YouTube, type the question. I'll either respond to it or I'll make another video about it. If you are watching this on Facebook, same thing. Type it inside the chat. I'll be sure to respond to it or send you a message about it. And hopefully you have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. Always remember, guys, remember your value. You're worth a lot. You can do this thing. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.